It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Indeed, South Africans flying the flag this weekend. Can you believe it? It is the 124-year-old Roland-Garros tournament happening this weekend. The French Open, arguably one of the best Grand Slams of the year. And of course, Klaasen is heading off to represent South Africa. And he's also looking forward to heading back to the grass courts of Wimbledon. We thought a great opportunity to catch up with the man. Take a look.
South Africa's Klaasen is gearing up for 2 months of intense tennis competition with Roland-Garros and Wimbledon fast approaching. The 32-year-old is hoping to get his season back on track this weekend.
So far, 2015 has been a season of ups and downs for me. Got out to the gates hot, won a title early in Auckland, and then towards the end of March we kind of slowed down a little bit, but all in all I'm pretty happy with how things have started so far. Out of all the Grand Slams, Wimbledon has to be my favorite. I remember growing up as a youngster playing tennis and watching Wimbledon back in the day and thinking to myself, that's probably the tournament that I would most like to play tennis at.
The French Open utilizes a clay court which is considered slower than other surfaces because balls bounce higher and slower. Wimbledon's grass court surface provides its own unique challenges for players.
The key differences between playing in Wimbledon and at the Roland-Garros is that at the one event, the grass is a live surface under your feet and it's very fragile. You know, the conditions change dramatically from day 1 to day 10 in the event, and you sort of have to adjust your game accordingly. At the clay, you have a lot more time, there's a lot more patience involved, and generally for South Africans, that's not something we are very good at. You know, we grew up on courts that are pretty fast. A lot of our time is spent in Johannesburg at 7,000 feet, where the ball flies through the air, you know, but playing a Grand Slam in most cases is fun regardless of which surface you're playing on.
This year, Raven has teamed up with doubles sensation and former world #1 leigh-anne to improve on his current 27th world doubles ranking. Together with Kevin Anderson, the pair are flying the South African flag high on the ATP Tour.
Kevin Anderson and I see each other quite regularly on the tour. There's not many South Africans out there anymore, and because we play different events, he plays the singles and I play the doubles, and it's such a professional environment, you end up spending a lot of times within your own group, you know. When you play with someone like leigh-anne for an extended period of time, you realize just what it takes to be that good a tennis player. So it's been a massive learning curve for me just in how to prepare myself for big events, how to go into big events mentally. And the learning curve has been so sharp, and it's been a lot of fun just to kind of take my game to the next level. My goals for this year on tour are to improve on everything I had last year. I had a pretty specific goal of ending last year top 30, which I accomplished. This year I pushed it up to top 15. I'm currently ranked about 27 in the world, so that means I need to go find about 10 or 15 spots somewhere. Making Australian Open final last year has obviously opened my mind to the idea of winning a Grand Slam. That's definitely a goal, and then making a big push to make the Masters in London. Those are definitely on my radar.
Having finished second in the men's doubles of the Australian Open in 2014, Raven has a solid foundation to build on if he is to emulate another tennis great with South African connections.
When I think about people that have inspired me in the game, you know, obviously presently now I would have to say Roger Federer. What he's done both on the court and off the court and managing of a career is probably as good as I've ever seen. That's a great role model to follow.
And we love the man. Now the world's top teams and top tennis stars are all in Paris to try and dethrone the king of clay, Rafa Nadal, in this year's French Open, also known as Roland-Garros. Now, South African doubles star Klaasen is amongst those competing in the men's doubles draw, and his coach, Stefan, is in studio to chat a little bit about what is always a great tournament, one of the best Grand Slams. And I can see you ready with the stats, and the tennis players are going to absolutely love that. But first of all, welcome. Thank you so much. Great to have you here.
Always nice being here.
So it is one of the more romantic, if I can put it like that, tournaments of the year, a bit more intimate, as you yourself have said. There is something very special about these older tournaments, and Roland-Garros is one of the oldest.
Definitely, you know, last year I spent some time at the French, and I was there. I did the clay court spin of things last year, almost for 5-6 weeks. So the French is just. The French is the French. You know, like you say, they're intimate. It's nice being there. It's a smaller Grand Slam tournament than you get in America or even the Australian Open.
Oz, yeah.
So, yeah.
All of this, I think it makes for a very interesting draw, because as much as we know that Rafa isn't in the greatest of form, he does somehow seem to have an affinity with this. We know it's the clay, but there's also something else. There's an emotional connection to that. So the weekend has started. Take us through the action. What has really stood out for you?
For me, first of all, they had a lot of interviews with Federer and Djokovic, and everyone says you can't write Nadal off He's won the Slam 9 times. He's going for the 10th. You know, yeah, he's ready in action. The sensation of how he's feeling at the moment is not great. You know, he doesn't have the confidence at the moment. But once he kicks in and he gets in second and third gear, you know, we need to watch out.
He's dangerous. Can that happen in a tournament as a
Definitely.
coach? What do you say to your players when they come to you, say they're not feeling that vibe?
I think you would just want to get past the first round.
Yeah.
You take it day by day and week by week. And the first week is the toughest week. You know, media is out there. They want to know what's going on. Suddenly a seed falls. You're trying to keep your head. You're trying to keep focus on what you do. And that's why some of the players, they don't spend a lot of time literally at the tournament during the day. They want to get their mind off of what's going on. They just want to focus on what they want to do. And I think Nadal's got his support structure is so good that they will make sure that he's in the right shape and form.
No, it's early days. You mentioned a couple of names there. Before we close this out, and we'll get into Raven's journey in just a moment. But your front runners, who do you think's standing out now? I know it's still early days.
Djokovic had a great run on the clay court season. First of all, he won 2 master events. Then Murray won 2 events on the clay. He's playing really well. And then there's 5 Japanese players since 1960, I think, that's competing in the French. Kai Nishikori, front runner for the Japanese. He stands a chance, especially to be in the quarterfinals. And then from there on, yeah, it's going to get hot.
It's going to get really hot. Well, we'll touch on the women's draw and we'll get into the South African showing a little bit later this morning. But thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
I know you have a very busy year and we'll get into some of those stats in a moment. But it's awesome having a Ravens coach here, Stefan, breaking down Roland Garros. If maybe you've got a favourite, or maybe like most of the world, you're expecting this to be a walk in the park for Rafa Nadal, you can let us know on our Facebook page. Kat, have you got any favourites going into the French Open, my friend?